Rubin Statham has created the greatest innovation to ever hit the tennis equipment market in history. He goes through it all. He talks about how the latest iteration is now at a level to actually be stringing at Grand Slam level. His storytelling is elite. His experiences are elite, and he's an absolute legend. And this is such a good conversation that I am so excited to share with you today. Hope you enjoy. Rubin, thanks, mate. Really appreciate it. I know we've been trying to tee this up for a little while, and I know you're a busy man, so thanks for making the time today.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Beauty, mate. You've had a very long career on the court. You've obviously done amazing things off the court with what you've created, which we're going to get stuck into. But I think before we get there, I would love to talk about just some memorable moments that you think and you look back on your long career playing as a professional tennis player, and even like a real just authentic connection with a couple people or anyone in particular that stands out to you being on tour.
Yeah, over the last 21 years of playing pro tennis, there's plenty of stories, there's plenty of memories. I guess you mentioned playing wise, ones that stand out. Probably my hometown event, Auckland ATP before Aussie Open. I played Shun Chung when he was kind of in form, and I think he's 19 in the world at the time, and center court, my home club, and winning that match was pretty memorable. Standing ovation, that type of fun stuff. But so that was a good one. And then second, I would say probably Davis Cup. I always enjoyed playing Davis Cup and played since I was 17 until last year, so 37. I think we played Uruguay. I played Pablo Cuevas and similar ranking, top 20 player, and won the deciding match there for New Zealand to win, which was really special in a different way. But I always really enjoyed the team atmosphere of playing Davis Cup and playing for something a bit more than yourself. And so those are the two ones that stand out on top of mind.
What's it like when you have that standing ovation and being in the thick of it, when you have that hometown crowd and feeding off that energy? How would you describe it? Are you almost like in a trance-like state, just in the moment? Almost doesn't feel real, but it's like the realest thing ever in a way?
Yeah, well, normally the standing ovations were against me, but sometimes they were for me, which was even more special. So it's something you can't really replicate in everyday life. And since retiring last December, I've come to understand a few things, which one of them is that you can't really replicate that type of a feeling. You don't make sales to a reseller for a product and you feel that feeling. It's not the same. So it is pretty special, and you kind of bottle that up and hold on to that, and almost a little bit addictive, really. You want that feeling again, and I don't know, maybe for guys like Federer it wears off and it becomes nothing after a while, but especially when the standout type of results, it's even more special.
Yeah, that's interesting. Like, do you think that's why some guys hold on a little bit longer and really almost like they're chasing that feeling? Because I don't know, I guess they don't really know what to do. Like you've been fortunate enough to find a calling outside of tennis that's fueled a purpose for you, but I think maybe guys struggle because they don't really have a purpose after their career in some way, and they're chasing that feeling. Would you say that's a fair assessment?
Yeah, there's many different reasons. As I said, that feeling, the feeling of winning a big match. You've been out there for 3, 4, 5 hours, and you come through winning, and that's hard to replicate. And sure that you want to continue with that. There's there's other elements too. Maybe they play for even longer because they don't have an alternative, or they feel they don't have an alternative to move to. Yeah, there's many different reasons. Maybe they like traveling and they like the travel aspect of it, to see the world. It's tennis players playing 35, 40 weeks a year internationally around the world. You have some pretty unique experiences and adventures that you wouldn't get sitting in an office. So there's that element. Maybe they enjoy that. Um, Maybe it's, the fame, or being someone, special in the limelight. There's many different things that it comes down to your values, and what you value, and I guess your alternatives too, and balancing it all up. And that's been an interesting journey for me too.
Yeah. I was gonna say, like, what was your reason for staying on the tour? Was travel a really big factor for you, and seeing lots of different places? What was one of the reasons why you kept going at it longer and longer?
Hmm. There were different reasons at different phases of my career. So obviously at the start, you're out there thinking you're going to be number one in the world, and everyone does, and that's great. And I really enjoyed playing tennis, and still do. There's just purely playing the sport was great for me. I did enjoy travel, where a lot of my friends on tour didn't enjoy the travel part. They didn't really want to experience, say, the cities or the external opportunities outside of tennis. Well, I really enjoyed that, so that was a big thing for me to continue. As Pro Stringer got introduced to my career or my life, it was a bit of a balancing act, and
Yeah.
and that was an interesting one. And
How
as
far
that
into it?
evolved, I would have been 20
Okay.
when I started with Pro Stringer, pretty early.
Yep.
So as that evolved, things changed and my priorities changed a lot, and it became less 100% focused on tennis, to where it was kind of a balance between tennis and business. And then the last probably 7 years was mainly business, and I was still enjoying playing on tour.
Yeah. This episode is brought to you by Rackets and Strings, which is Adelaide's leading racket specialist. There are 2 locations, one in Mile End and one in Summerton Park. But don't fear, if you're not in Adelaide, you can go online and get everything you need. All tennis accessories, all racket sport accessories as well. If you are in store, you can try before you buy. They have 2 hitting walls in both their locations. You can take a demo away, and you're getting expert advice from the best in the business. They are a family business that have been doing it for 40 years, and Matt has been doing it for 20 himself. So he is extremely knowledgeable and is very good at steering you in the right direction to actually get the right equipment that is going to be good for your personal needs. And that's what makes them better than the rest, in our opinion. So please head to Rackets on Strings online, or if you're in Adelaide, get in store and get the best deals in town. I mean, I think the birth of this amazing piece of equipment that you've built comes from that you and your brother basically spending $17,000 on restringing in 1 year, right? Like, I think people that don't really know tennis wouldn't understand the cost of restringing alone, right? That would be very surprising to a lot of people. I mean, you guys are that are training every day, twice a day, like you're breaking minimum 1 to 2 strings a day. So like it adds up, right? If it's $15, $20, $30 a restring, right? You do the math.
Yep.
So you were in Korea and you had a guy watching a couple of your matches and just almost like following you in a way, and like you had this almost like Korean fan that was just watching, and then you approached him and had a conversation, and essentially this is the story of how it was actually created, right? From what I was listening to in a previous podcast. So I'd love to kind of build on this and let our listeners, I guess, understand the story from that perspective, because it is quite a unique story in a way where it was like this idea was meant to come in some way, and I feel like it was meant to be in some weird way, that like this is not a normal situation, right?
Yeah, well, it was one of those ones where, you know, cliche preparation meets opportunity type of thing. So I had already come up with a few ideas myself when I was traveling. Yeah, me and my twin brother, our first 2 years on tour, spending a lot of money on stringing. Yeah, it was 17K USD the first year and about the same the second year, just playing a lot in Europe, 1-2 rackets per day each. What do you do? So we were traveling with a drop weight machine, which was portable at the time, and you know, about 30 kg, let's say 65 pounds. You know, splitting it into each other's travel bags when you're traveling, paying overweight fees because you're already traveling with a huge amount of stuff. Especially being from New Zealand, Australia, you're away for a long time and you've got a lot of gear with you. You've got 6 pairs of hardcore shoes, you know. So traveling with that drop weight machine was not easy. And yeah, I had already spent quite a bit of time, probably a year and a half, coming up with some ideas of something that could solve that problem just for me and Oliver, my brother. And we went to Korea and we were playing, you know, the lowest level of pro tennis at the time, starting out. And we're playing in Seoul 1 week and not many people watching at that level. And I noticed there's one Korean guy's clapping for me. The next day when a semi-finals, he's there. I just hear literally one guy clapping for me, and I notice it because there's not many people there watching, and mainly, you know, Korean players. And so if there are people there, they're going for them. So that was the first week in Seoul, second week in Busan, the bottom of Korea, about 3 hours away, I guess. And I'm playing my first round match, and I hear the same clapping. I look back, and there he is. So I won a few matches that week, and I noticed he was near the players' lounge. And I guess I had two decisions to make. And one was he's either a great fan and my only fan and great guy, or maybe I should call the police. And I thought, okay, I'll go for the first idea. And so I grabbed a couple of coffees, gave him one, and just had a chat with him. And part of the conversation was he saw my twin brother in the players' lounge on the drop weight machine. Not ideal. And I explained the situation, why we travel with this machine, and he's getting ready to play a match and desperately getting his racket ready. And it turns out he's an electronic engineer and obviously a tennis nut. So that was a good combination. And he said, "Look, I've got some ideas. I'm not an engineer. This could work well." So we spent quite a bit of time together. Had a few dinners.
So he didn't
Went through it
know,
all.
sorry to butt in, but he didn't know anything about that you had any previous ideas. It was just almost coincidental that he was watching and then saw you guys on the drop weight machine. And was that did he come to you with that as part of the conversation, or was this like almost
No,
very random?
completely random. But I was looking for someone in that space to validate, do my ideas work from an engineering point of view? Could we move forward with this? At the time, I'm not thinking about a business at all. I'm just filling a pain point for myself and my twin brother, so we don't spend so much money. Which, you know, it's a lot, 17K for a single expense, especially when you're starting out. So we spend a lot of time together. I'd try to play in Asia as much as possible, especially Korea. And yeah, we just chipped away at things, and it was probably a year and a half by the time we had a decent prototype that would do a very basic job, in order for me and my brother to travel with. And then my friends, there's many people in the same situation that are traveling. It could be players, it could be colleges, high schools. Now we have 2 resellers in Japan by coincidence, just because they live in smaller places and they can't have these big machines. So there's many reasons. And I started helping my friends just one by one. They wanted machines, and then their friends, and then I wasn't comfortable with the level of the machine to launch it yet. And then I spent another probably 8 months getting it a bit better, and then launched the first version and made it public and available worldwide, and then went from there. But no, it was never actually an idea to run a business at all. It was just a hobby, and yeah, just to fill the pain point for me and my brother. And also, I enjoyed being on tour, but to exercise my mind in a different way, apart from playing tennis. It was kind of a little hobby for me to work on in between matches. And a lot of players will kind of just go back to the room and play video games, and I decided to work on this machine. So
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, I think it doesn't normally start as this huge business idea, but an idea that solves a problem that's relevant to you, and that's how great businesses are born, right? Because of the connection that you have to solving a personal issue, and you're the one that is going to be using it and product testing it yourself, and you're passionate about it yourself. So I can completely understand why it's something that's taken off to a high level, and it is very useful. So what was the failed attempts, right, in the first 2 years from how it started? What was the problems with it? And then what did you change to get it to a point where you felt like you were actually happy with it to go, yep, I'm happy to go public and ready to go public with this?
that's a great question. And it's it's been 14 years now since we launched the first version, which is quite interesting. Now we've last year we launched Platinum 3, which is the 3rd version, and then a few weeks ago we launched Cybex, which is our 4th machine. So there's obviously over the years been huge development and big mistakes along the way. Our machine has 82 specially made parts per machine, which you have generic things like motors, gearboxes, and then you have specially made parts that you need to produce molds for. And molds are one-off, you can't adjust them. So if you get that mold wrong, which costs anywhere 10, 50K USD, and you get it wrong, by mold, you have to make a new one. So there's you've got to get things right, and if you make mistakes, which we've done many times, it can be costly. So there's been a few, and you just need to be very, very thorough when it comes to R&D and manufacturing. So yeah, just having the right, it's like a tennis career, you have to have the right team, find the right people to work for you or be around you. Tennis is very similar. It's like running your own business. It's not a team sport where you have a coach, a manager that does you have to hire them, and you have to have the right people around you. And if you don't, it's a lot more difficult. It's the same in business. There's a lot of commonalities there. So I think early on, one interesting one was the PSU, the power supply unit. There's a little voltage box on it, and in theory everything worked perfectly for the machine, but the location of this little box on the cord would, when you would move the machine, it would catch against the edge of the table, and over time it would pull against the cord, would pull. So basically after 2 months of use, with that little box catching against the edge of the table, the PSU would stop working, and we had to replace all of them. So things like that, you just need to be very thorough. And I'm lucky. I've got a fantastic team, and even from the start, I'm still with the same Korean team, and we've done a great job to really develop and minimize those errors. But they do happen, especially when you're shooting for perfection.
Is that guy that you spoke to initially? Did he design the original with you, and does he still work with you to this day?
Yeah, he does. So we started. He's the guy clapping away in the stand. So
yeah.
we've had a long partnership, and it's been really rewarding and purposeful too, and just seeing the results on tour of what it's done for players has been really special. But having such a long partnership is difficult, as a marriages or anything serious. But it's been fantastic, and very special to work with. We've had to, as we've grown, we've had to expand with manufacturing. The Platinum machine, or especially the Platinum 3, with the demand, we're just on the edge of selling out the whole time, which is not good to sell out. So we've had to expand into more warehouses, different manufacturing, not just in Korea, to facilitate the demand as we grew, and especially with Cybex launching that last month. We've had to expand too. So, but the core team has remained the same from the start.
I mean, good problems to have, right? To need to expand. It just shows, obviously, the usefulness of this machine and how many people are using it, right? So, you started touching on this, and I want to go into it about the balance point of being a professional athlete, but then also sinking your teeth into a very entrepreneurial project like this, where I mean, I think a lot of reasons why people don't go as far as they do in their pro career is because they don't dedicate themselves the way they need to sacrifice to get to the top, right? But in this case, that's almost impossible for you to fully dedicate to your tennis, and almost this project in a way would have started funding your tennis for you to have the freedom to play at the same time. So it's kind of like this interesting combination between the two. So how did your perspective change on this, almost like not being able to play tennis in the same way and train the same way because you had so much on your mind in another way? But how did you balance that? And then did it almost help your tennis in some interesting way?
Yeah, great question. Huge changes along my career from the start of Pro Stringer to towards the end of my career. Almost polar opposite. So it began as a great thing for me personally. Everyone's different. Every player's different. Some need to be completely focused and no distractions at all. As I mentioned, I did like doing other things to stimulate my mind in different ways rather than just hitting a trillion tennis balls. So I went down this path, and sure, it probably did take away from, let's say, a career high ranking. But I did have a long-term vision. Pretty early on, I figured that I just looked at the tennis system um, and my ability. I got to 280 in singles, 130 in doubles, but um, it's very hard to make money out of tennis for anyone. So just seeing the system, and I knew I would, like anyone, will need a job after tennis too. Um, and did I want to coach Martha 12 hours a day on court? I'm not sure about that. I decided that I wanted to, with a long-term vision, to leave something behind for tennis and for the players that was special, unique, and world first. And I've been lucky enough to do that, which has been fantastic. So yeah, those are tough decisions to make at the time, but I think it was supplementary to my career at the beginning. Um, I used to wake up in the morning and quickly turn my phone on and check, oh, has anyone ordered the machine? Maybe, some people believe that this tiny little thing works, and everyone was calling it a toy at the start, and it doesn't. There's no way this like 2 kg thing works when we've only got 30 to 60 kg machines conventionally. So does it work? Has anyone bought my machine? And then gets to the point where I wake up before matches years later and I can't go near my phone. Like I turn it, I don't turn it on anywhere near the bedroom. I'll wait until I've done the morning routine and had coffee and it's safe mentally to touch the airplane mode button. I'll leave it on the desk and just boom, 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 boom. And so it changed a lot over the years, and in a great way. But it did, personally, for my tennis, was extremely distracting, where it was kind of not. It was, I was in a very unique situation where I don't think any players were in that situation. I was kind of on my own there. But some of my friends would laugh on tour that, like, I'm literally taking phone calls as I'm walking onto the court to play a match, and then I'll get onto the court and 60% of my opponents use Pro Stringer, and there's just no space at all. I'll be at a few times coin toss, and the guy's like, "Oh, look, Rubin, I need like another set of clamps. Mine broke." Okay, just after the match, let's do this first, and I'll get you all sorted out. And I'm playing guys with Pro Stringer patches on that we're sponsoring, and it's full on and a really unique situation to be in, but also really rewarding. And I can see the impact that it's making because I'm still on tour to see that. And that was another reason I continued for so long too. So, yeah, things change a lot, even obviously financially from the start, where you barely getting by, playing these lower level tournaments to when you're improving. But yeah, to the point where it's costing me a lot of money to play tennis, opportunity cost, let's say. Whereas if I just did the business and that was it. But tennis was always something I loved doing, and just balancing your lifestyle and what you enjoy, and keeping life purposeful was a big thing for me. So yeah, it was a tough balancing act, but I think I did it pretty well.
Yeah. No, I love hearing about the intention to understand that in your career there is, I guess, the foresight to know that you aren't going to make money in the system that it was and still is.
Yep.
and you needed to create a plan for yourself that was going to outlive this career, intertwine with your career, and be meaningful and purposeful to you. And it is a gift that's been given to the tennis community, and it is a very unique situation. The fact that like you're out there competing and everyone's using your product, because it is a cornerstone of the ITF and Challenger Tour with the guys that are trying to break through to the top ATP and WTA level, right? Like
Yep.
you can't really do it without something like the Pro Stringer unless you're completely bankrolled from some investor or like insane finances from the family. So like it's it is like a like I think about the ITF and Challenger Tour, and it just I think about the Pro Stringer. Like they just are a match in
That's
a
cool.
way. Yeah.
That's cool. And yeah, it's been great, like what you said, but also people, the terminology on tour is not stringing machine. Now it's like, do you have a pro stringer? Where's your pro stringer? Or, so it's been really cool. And I guess the biggest thing for me was, because you're so immersed in the product and dealing with all of the different elements of the business. And when I was out for a year and a half with hip surgery, I came back and I had my protected ranking where if you're out for more than a year, you get 12 tournaments at that. I was about 280 to use, but I wanted to play some smaller events just to get some matches. And so I went to some futures, and the first future I walked into the players lounge, and they had 6 tables there, and 5 of the guys were on the tables using Pro Stringer. And that was the moment where, I mean, I obviously knew a lot of players are using it, but to actually see it was really cool. And just to see that, it is having a purpose in players' lives. That was really nice.
What was the feedback that you were getting from the players? I think a special thing here is you're so connected to the tennis community, and part of it that you would have got such great feedback around what they liked, what they didn't like, what needed to change. Like, how did that inform the iteration of the next models for you?
Exactly. So, nowadays I do get a lot of people asking me business advice, just in general. I've never studied business. I just figured it out. So some advice I'll give them is you need to be a specialist in your realm. You need to understand exactly your product if it's to be successful and to develop, and if you want to be a leader. I remember my twin brother got into commercial drones, and I went into the showroom and I said, okay, if you want to do this seriously, what does this part do? This part of the wing, what does that do? He doesn't know. Shut it down. So I think being a customer myself and knowing exactly what the player needs, and also being on tour and many friends are using it and giving feedback. What do you need? How can we improve? How can we make this better for my peers, for the players, and getting really good quality feedback, which I would always take on. And at the start, with financial restraints, at the start I would just make 5 at a time, 5 machines at a time, which is expensive to do, low quantities, and sell those. I'd buy a batch of 10, a batch of 20, and move it up like that. But not even from a financial point of view, but from a development point of view, I quite enjoyed that, because I could sell the 5 guys. What can I improve from that next batch? I implement those things. I implement. When you're doing 1,000 at a time, which we're doing now, you can't implement so many changes, right? But it depends on the amount that you're selling, obviously. So that's how I slowly improved it. I didn't take on any shareholders, investors. I wanted it to be completely within my capable control and the feedback of the pro players, and then just slowly develop it that way. And so we went through the 3 different platinum models, and all world first machines, and improved a lot to the point where the platinum 3 won't get a lot better from that, but we're always looking to improve. And then the Cybex that we brought out last year was something really special. It was kind of the final piece of the puzzle. So again, touching on long-term vision from the start, when I did decide, okay, it's time to make this a business, I'm either going to go at it fully or not at all. And so the idea was to eventually make a machine that was the same functionality or better than the Grand Slam machines, the big one, 60 kg machines that they use at Grand Slams. So that was the long-term vision. And with Platinum, the first one was decent. It did a good job. It was good for personal stringers if you're just stringing your own racket. And then Platinum 2 improved Platinum 3, but it didn't have the functionality of the Grand Slam machines. Whereas Cybex, which we've worked on for 7 years of development while the Platinums were selling, does more than any machine that's ever been made. It has more functionality. It has 17 functions. First machine you can upgrade. It's upgradable via your phone. You just upgrade the software. There's new functions. Just a few weeks ago, we noticed some players like to tension their string twice. So they'll tension, then retract, and then tension again. They feel that when they play, it holds tension longer. And so I said, okay, team, let's do dual tensioning, we'll call it. We implemented that in, and you just upload the new software, and boom, you've got dual tensioning. So
Wow, that's
it's really
insane.
special what we've done with Cybex, and it's 1.3 kgs. So it's it basically it's super portable, but it has the same or more functionality than any other machine. So that was kind of the long-term vision for me, and to actually execute that and launch it, and now a heap of pro stringers using it at Wimbledon, and yeah, just executing it's really difficult. So yeah, that's a huge step up from the platinum versions, and yeah, just to kind of realize the long-term vision, and be able to leave back. I've got it here actually. Leave back something that it is.
Wow. So that's it. That's a touch screen that can have software updated through just your backend systems that connect to your phone.
Yep.
Wow.
Exactly. Yeah. So you've got a whole menu screen there. You've got everything from tire function to pre-stretch to multi-pull to extended pull. You've got all of these functions. With people ask me like, oh, what should I do with tensions or string this way, and I listen to some people that speak gospel truths like you've got to string this way, you've got to do this, that, but it's really personal. Stringing is very personal. I mean, just look at players, they use different rackets, different strings, all different tensions. Everything's personal, right? So the idea behind Cybex was have every different functionality you can possibly think of, throw it in there, you figure out what's best for your game, and away you go.
Yeah.
So you have all of these functions which might not work for you, they might work for me. You can save those functions. When you do find what's perfect for your game, you can save the settings, and when you turn it on, all of your settings are already saved there and you're ready to go. We do also have like an algorithm we put in there to guide players. So there's different algorithms, like you can set it if you use polyester or natural gut or synthetic gut or Kevlar. You
Yeah.
can set your string and it will pull to the optimum rotation speed for that string.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So there's all these different things in there to guide the players. But then again, it's finding out what works specifically for you, and this provides you with all the options to do that, and it enhances your performance at the end of the day. So
Yeah.
that was the idea behind Cybex, and to pull it off has been amazing, and just to see the effect that it's had on the pro guys that have been giving feedback since we recently launched, it's been awesome. So
Yeah.
happy with that one.
Mate, that's incredible, mate. Congrats. That's huge. Do
Thank you.
do you see this as being a replacement of like the Grand Slam machines? Because obviously they're huge and they're hefty and they're hard to transport. Is this at a level that you think, let's say, like high level tournaments are going to have this Cybex Pro Stringer machine, because you can have so many more in a small, because it doesn't take up so much space and they're so easy to take around, that is this moving in that direction?
We'll go back to long-term vision again, and honestly, from the start, I wanted to be able to get to a point where this is all you need to string a racket. You don't need a drop weight machine, a heavy drop weight machine. You don't need a big, huge machine that performs well, but you can't travel with, you can't move it around.
Yeah.
It's $10,000. It's not affordable for most people. So my vision was to create a machine that, like an iPhone, that would be standard and you wouldn't need anything else. And it's strongly headed that way, but especially now with Cybex and its functionality, it's going to be very interesting in the future. I think it's been obviously fantastic for players that are traveling, but the only two markets it probably hasn't it hasn't really penetrated that much is pro shops and tournament stringers, because tournament stringers like to have a stand-up, more professional look rather than attaching the mounting system to a table. But we've actually just finished our portable stand, which will come out soon. Just a little
Okay. Yes.
heads up, and so that's all done.
Yep.
I could even send you a little video. You can post it in the interview.
Yep.
Basically, you apply the machine to this portable stand. That it's 60 seconds. You can take it apart. It's about 2.8 kgs. It fits in a little bag. Just put it over your shoulder. Then it's a stand-up professional stand that you can apply the machine to it and string, and it can have a good appearance. It will still be the same job, but it has a good appearance for pro shops and tournament stringers to use. And
Gotcha.
and with the functionality of Cybex, now it is very much good enough to use in pro shops and as a tournament stringer for multiple players. So that's kind of the next markets we're looking to expand.
Yeah, that's a nice little solution to that problem around appearance, because I can completely understand, like walking into like a pro tournament and looking at that and going, this doesn't really look right, even though the machine itself is insane with what it can do. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's been quite good. With the stand, you can retract into standing position or sitting position. So you can choose if you want to sit or stand to string. And a great thing with Pro Stringer for players is, I know how it is, like with a normal machine, you need to stand up because the tensioning point is far out, the bigger machines. So you need to stand up in order to use it. Whereas Pro Stringer is in here, you're applying the machine to the racket, so you can sit down to string. And you know, when you're out there in the heat playing 5-hour matches or whatever it is, the last thing you want to do is stand up to be stringing rackets in between days of matches. And Pro String, you can just sit down and easily string and put on your iPad and watch a movie, and it's all in here. So that's been really a big difference for players to sustainably to be able to string their rackets.
Nice. I like that. Do you have any competitors? Because I just think about the obvious example when Uber came in and completely took over the taxi market, just with better systems, better innovation, and then the taxi system just got left behind. And then a stream of other services have just been launched because of that, right? So do you have any competitors? Have you set or paved the way for other people to try to replicate what you do or innovate on top? What's the market looking like as a result of this step forward that you've been making over the last almost 20 years now?
Yeah, it's been interesting, and there has been a couple of companies that have coincidentally, let's say, applied their mounting system to a table, just out of coincidence. But that's fine. And at the end of the day, it comes down to purpose for me. If every stringing machine, every company adopts this model, and that helps the players and it helps the game of tennis, I'm fine with it. I really am. So it's not just purely financial for me. So I mean, we do have patents in place for all these things too, which is IP protection. But in saying that, it's very complicated. As I said, there's 82 specially made parts per machine, so it's very difficult. And also, you know, we're very much first to market for many years, and I'm very heavily involved with tennis, and it's I think and as I say to my team, if they're concerned with other companies, or we compete with ourselves, we're very far ahead in the game and kind of do have that market saturated, and we compete with ourselves at this point and just keep developing and keep making a better product for players and for tennis. And that's all you can focus on. And it goes back, it's similar to having a tennis career once again. You know, you focus on yourself. How can you refine yourself, your speed, your power, your tennis, your technique, all these different elements, to worrying about other players or other result, you know, so I use similar mindset towards business, and it works.
I mean, how can anyone compete, really? I mean, you've been in the thick of it yourself, being around all these professional players. You've used it your whole life. The whole purpose of it was to innovate just a process for you to string, and the amount of detail that you've gone into and the feedback you've got from all the players while being in that scene. I just can't see anything being in competition. And then also to add to that, the purpose that you have and the intention behind what you're doing is pure gold. So I got nothing but respect for the way you're going about it, and I'm so stoked that there is something like this that's been created, and now where it's headed with Cybex, I think I think it's in a really good place. What's the price point between your, because do you still sell the other models even though you've got Cybex, and what's the price point between them?
So now is the first time ever that we're selling two machines. So
Okay.
we've always sold the Platinum 1, then
Yep.
the 2, then the 3.
Yep.
And now we're keeping the Platinum 3 at the price point of around $1,000, and then the Cybex at 2.2.
Yeah.
So we're selling both of them in parallel, just to provide with both options. And then in between the Platinum and the Cybex model, we brought out a different technology of clamps, which is also a world first. The design basically keeps all strings perfectly parallel, so the tension is accurate. If you imagine a string that's curved at 50 pounds, when you straighten it, it's not 50 pounds when it's straight. So these I call it biangular technology. It was a made-up word, but it's basically an angled version of the clamp that keeps, no matter if you have wide strings or narrow strings within the racket, it keeps it perfectly straight. And they're the only clamps to do that on the market. And then in between Platinum and Cybex, also brought out the Module X, so this mounting system, which is again world first. It's normally you buy a 2-point system where it holds at 2 points, or you buy a 4-point or a 6-point, whereas this mounting system, which only weighs about 1.5 kgs, it's modular, so the one system can be 2-point, or you apply sidebars 4-point, or you can apply another set of bars and it's 6-point. So it's the one system can be 2, 4, 6. So that's been quite good for players. They've they'll be at home and they'll use the 6-point and they'll go, oh, I'm going to travel now. I don't want the extra bars. I'll leave them at home and string with 2-point on the road. So it's been and that's a world first product too. So combining everything and refining as we go, we've brought out some great world first products that have been really helpful and just really minimal in size, affordable, and able for the players to perform better and more consistently, because at futures challenges you have too many variables of the stringer, what machine are they using, different machines every week. They have different techniques that they're using. I mean, how it works on tour, the first 2-3 days that players arrive there, that just the chat is, oh, hey, like, oh, you got your racket done at 50, where do you feel you think it's 48, and you're asking another guy, yeah, you got it at 52, or you feel like it's 56, and then you've got to drop, and you're just handing rackets in to try to find the right tension, and it's just a mess and very costly. Whereas the guys that have the machines, they go there, they know exactly what they're going to get, and they have that every match, every week. When you pull out a racket at 5-all in the third set and you're serving down 30-40 and you pull out a new racket, it's right. Not, okay, making up a couple of unforced errors because the tension's off and boom, there's the match. So it's been really great in that way, and just for performance as well as finance. And it's these subtle things in pro level tennis that do make a difference, which has been quite good. And it's I guess I've been asked quite a few times by players on tour, like, what advice would you give me, and da da da. And I think having a narrow vision with your tennis, and your training and your matches to focus in, but also having more of a broad vision outside of that, because you do have a lot of opportunities, like how I started Pro Stringer in Korea. If I didn't have a broader vision, or wasn't keeping my eyes open, I'd probably be still with my pencil in my hotel room looking at doing designs. I'd still be at that point probably. So it's keeping your eyes open and having a broader vision of there is opportunities out there. You meet a lot of good people in the tennis circles, high level businessmen. You meet people that are making a difference to the world, and to keep in contact with them and to work in with people outside of tennis is because tennis is a cool sport, but it's a small part of life. So that's kind of the piece of advice I give most players that ask me, and it's worked for me too in my life. So I think that's important for players to understand that.
Yeah, that's unreal. Um, Mate, I'm just thinking about how much investment would have been involved in getting this just to a point where you were breaking even, right? Like the cost of research and development and what you're building, like this wouldn't have been cheap at all. Do
Mm.
you have any kind of ballpark figure of how much you actually invested before you even started to break even?
Yeah, there is an initial investment for sure. Um, I was a few $100K down for sure, the first few years. And, especially again, waking up in the morning and you're like, oh, there's no sale today, and then you go on forums and, oh, this is a toy, it doesn't work, it can't be possible, da da da. So, yeah, I mean, it's risk versus reward. I very much believed in the potential of it. And I knew if I refined it to the point where it is today, or even the last 7 years, um, it will serve a purpose and sell very well, and my hard work will pay off. So, and it has, but initially, yeah, a lot of pressure, and it's the same with anything starting out. Um, you need to be sure of what you're doing. You need to be a specialist in that field, and get the right people around you, the right engineers, right sales, whatever it is. In order for it, you need to tick all of the boxes, just like a tennis career. So
Yeah.
there was yeah, for sure, initial pressure starting out, and do I really need to do this? Should I just focus on tennis and go that conventional route? But again, I felt like I wanted to leave something behind to tennis and to players, and I felt like, okay, I'm not going to be a Federer, Djokovic. No one's really going to remember me as a tennis player so much. Hopefully, as a person, maybe. Hopefully, as someone that's contributed, but as a player, maybe not. So this was kind of gave me a bit of purpose, and that gave me like the motivation to work through many 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 things to create these machines. So
Yeah.
it's completely different if you're making shirts or just the products that are already out there.
Yeah.
But to figure out how to make world first products is very difficult. So
Got it. Yeah.
yeah, I think it was good, and we just, like I string every day in the afternoon after I'm finished with everything. I'll still string rackets just to practice myself, because every time I string, I come up with ideas. How can you improve this, that? I certainly don't need to string rackets now that I don't play. So yeah, practicing it, and also even this, we a portable battery pack, so you can basically, with the machine, you don't need power to from a wall supply anymore. That stemmed from, we sponsored some machines to Uganda for the Serving Hope Foundation with Vanya King, some machines and string, and just to help them have accessibility to string their rackets. And so we noticed that they don't have power supply everywhere like we do. They can't just plug it in anywhere. And so they had to go to a certain room, certain club to string the rackets. And so I thought, well, yeah, let's do it. So I made a battery pack. That this is the second version, but the first version was quite substantially bigger and heavier. But then it allowed players to just, you can go string in the rice fields if you want, anywhere. And then you had guys stringing like on the train in between tournaments. That pull down the tray and string there on the train to get to the tournament. They had a racket to start practicing with, and it just provided like another level of portability and and then I've done this second one that I just completed a couple of weeks ago, which is cool. It does 40 rackets with one charge, and then some of the guys it charges all your devices, your phone, laptop. You can charge everything as you're stringing, so you can take that on the plane with you and use it for that purpose, or stringing on the train, or whatever you want. So it's just these type of things to make players' lives just a little bit easier, because it's tough out there. So it's good.
Yeah, if anyone understands what the players need, it's you, mate. What you're creating here is unreal. One more thing, I know time is just flying, mate. I've absolutely loving this. But one thing I had written down that I'm keen to ask is about AI. How do you plan to integrate with AI assisted settings? Is there anything kind of in terms of AI automation that you're thinking about for future of your products that you think you can innovate it even further in a way?
Well, obviously AI is taking over. As I said, with string, it's very personal, and you can look at automated stringing. Now we have engineers in 4 countries in the world, and yes, I've discussed all of these things. The possibilities for automated stringing machine is you probably need to get NASA to do that, and it's not going to be affordable or portable for players, which is my purpose. Maybe in the future you could look at that in like a pro shop or tournament stringer setting, maybe, but that's going to be a while away. We're at like portable battery packs at the moment. So then when it comes to the settings, with Cybex, we've kind of implemented that. We have algorithms that do provide a general. You can even input the length of each one of your strings into the machine, and it will string each string at an optimum tension for that string. And it will do it automatically, so you don't need to change manually the tension. Every time you tension it will roll to the next optimal tension for that string based on length and based on the string type, which increases sweet spot overall. So it's based on an idea that a piece of string at 50 here, a piece of string at 50 here is not the same. So if you're looking at short crosses versus long mains, it's not the same. So we have that algorithm in there, which increases sweet spot optimization. We have all these things that at optimal speed that it tensions string at. You can save all of these different settings. You just save it, and then next time you turn it on, away you go. But there still needs to be an element of what works for the player, and that player testing what works for me. When you're on call and you're like, wow, that feels really good. What did I do to achieve this? What tension did I string it at? Did I use pre-stretch, simple, multiple? What settings did I use? And when you find what's perfect for you, save the settings, away you go. So AI, it is, it's going to be big in the future, obviously, but there's still very much personal preference in stringing, and that's very apparent when you look at all players with their rackets, their strings, their tensions, everything. So there's still always going to be that element, and at the moment we've hit the max of the capabilities for that right now.
Yep. I get it. Mate, you've been very generous with your time. I just want to finish off by saying I think everybody that takes their tennis seriously should learn how to string from the age of 14, 15, 16. Like if you call yourself somewhat of a tennis player aspiring to go to a high level, you need to know how to string your own racket. If you're traveling, I think this is a product that is almost like essential, like a toolkit like I think about, you know, you're going to be a tradie and you're going to get an apprenticeship, and there's certain things you got to check off before you get your electrical apprenticeship. I think about this as like part of the tennis journey as an aspiring pro going through ITF Challenger Tour. That this is the crux of it, right? Like you need to take ownership over your own string. You need to cut costs. You need to be savvy. You need to be really kind of on top of this stuff. Otherwise, the journey is too brutal. So,
Exactly.
is there any kind of final messages,
Yeah.
or I guess if you want to direct anyone to anywhere to check out some stuff, if this has been of interest to anyone, or just any final message in general?
Yeah, I think what you just touched on, having ownership of your performance, it does teach that. And if you're looking to play for years to come and have a long career, there is a lot of expense, and there's so many variables with your rackets, and having complete ownership of what's in your racket is huge. And you have guys like Sinner, who was using Pro Stringer for many years, and he would travel with it early on in his career and use it at the academy. And obviously, until he gets to a point where he can travel with his own stringer. And it's been quite interesting. Some professional stringers that travel with top players have used Pro Stringer to be stringing for the top guys, but then they have that consistency. But yeah, for especially younger, I think I learned to string when I was 13, and you know I would have saved hundreds of thousands of dollars by now. So it's really a no-brainer if you have a long career ahead of you and you want to play tennis for years to come. And yeah, I'm happy to help. So yeah, we've sponsored players in the hundreds of thousands of dollars mark. We have guys, you know, on sponsorship agreements. We provide a set amount to all pro players and junior players just to help them out, even if we don't partner up. So yeah, happy to help, and anything players need, me and my team are there. So just reach out.
Love it, mate. That's amazing. No, this has been awesome. I really appreciate it. It's been incredible to hear the story and understand a little bit more of the inside of what it's been like to create this, and the vision involved. And I got a lot of respect for you and what you've done and done for the tennis community. So thanks for being so generous and sharing everything today. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Luke. Good champion.